The millionaire spotted the black boy on the street wearing his missing daughter's necklace. What he discovered next would change everything. The red light on Fifth Avenue had never felt so long. Daniel Anderson, a 45-year-old businessman, drummed his fingers on the steering wheel of his Mercedes as he observed the usual crush of Manhattan traffic until something made his blood run cold. A black boy, about 12 years old, was weaving between cars selling candy. But it wasn't that made Daniel's eyes widen. It was the necklace around the boy's thin neck. A silver chain with a diamond-studded butterfly pendant, the very necklace he had custom-ordered for Sophie last Christmas. Sophie, his daughter, had been missing for 4 days without a trace. Daniel opened the car door before he even had time to think. "Hey, kid! Wait!" The boy, Marcus, though Daniel didn't know his name yet, jumped up and started running. Not out of paranoia, but because street smarts told him that a rich white man yelling at him was never a good sign. "Please, I just want to talk about this necklace," Daniel shouted as he ran after him, ignoring the blaring horns of trapped cars. "Where did you get it?" Marcus stopped on the sidewalk, panting, his brown eyes holding the hard-earned wisdom of a child who had learned to survive alone. "I didn't steal anything, sir. I swear to God I didn't." "I know you didn't steal it," Daniel said, trying to steady his trembling voice. "This necklace belongs to my daughter. She's missing." Marcus hesitated. There was something in this man's voice that was different from the others. Not anger or accusation, but pure desperation. "I found a little girl," he whispered at last. "She was hurt hiding in an abandoned building in the Bronx. I thought she was dead, but she gave me this necklace and asked me to find her dad." Daniel's world spun. Where is she? I took care of her for 3 days. She's alive." Marcus bit his lip. "She told me about who did this. Sir, I don't think this is just a regular kidnapping." A chill ran down Daniel's spine. For 4 days he had pleaded with the police, hired private detectives, offered rewards. But it was a street kid someone society barely even saw who had found his daughter. "Take me to her." Now Daniel said, grabbing his car keys. "Okay, but first there are a few things you need to know," Marcus said quietly, glancing around as if afraid of being overheard. "Before I found Sophie, I saw the person who left her there. And if I'm right about who it is..." He stopped. "You're not going to like this." Daniel froze. "What do you mean?" Marcus looked him straight in the eyes. "It's someone she knows, someone you trust. And from what I overheard on the phone, everything was calculated to hurt you too." If your heart is racing hearing the story of betrayal and mystery, subscribe now, because what Marcus uncovered about the kidnapper's true identity will shock you just as it did Daniel. And the revenge they plan together is more satisfying than any justice you've ever seen. Marcus glanced around again before signaling Daniel toward the subway. "She's in the Bronx, but we can't take your car. Too noticeable. And sir," he hesitated, "when we get there, don't yell or make a scene. She's very scared." On the 40-minute subway ride, Marcus recounted details that made Daniel's stomach twist. Sophie had hidden in the basement of an abandoned building for 3 days, dehydrated with marks on her wrist, like she had been tied up. Even more disturbing, she had whispered Uncle David repeatedly, tears always accompanying the words. David Mitchell, Daniel's best friend for 20 years, Sophie's godfather, his minority partner in the company, the man who comforted the family when Sophie's mother passed away last year. David had insisted recently that Daniel hire extra private security, saying he felt the family's safety was at risk. Here Marcus whispered, stopping in front of the graffiti-covered red brick building. "She's in the basement. I brought her some water and food, but she barely ate." Daniel followed Marcus down the dark staircase, his heart pounding so hard he could almost hear it echo through the damp hallway. And then he saw her. Sophie, his 9-year-old daughter, curled up on a filthy mattress, clutching a stuffed bear he had never seen before. "Daddy," her voice was hoarse. When she looked up, Daniel saw dark circles under her eyes and a gaze no child should ever carry the look of someone who had witnessed lifelong nightmares. Daniel lunged forward, holding her gently as if she were made of glass. "I'm here, sweetheart. You're safe now." But as he embraced her, his mind raced. How did David know where to find her? Why insist on hiring extra security right now? And most importantly, who could be capable of such cruelty toward a child? Daddy, Sophie whispered into his ear. Uncle David said this was a game you would understand, but then he got angry on the phone, yelling at someone about money and contracts. He said if I told anyone something bad would happen to you too. Marcus stood nearby, arms crossed. Sir, there's more. She told me about your company. This David fellow was making calls about transfers and signing papers while you were frantically searching for Sophie. Daniel felt the blood drain from his body. For 3 days, while he had been frantically searching for his daughter, David had temporarily taken control of some company operations, accessing accounts, contracts, clients, and Daniel had trusted him completely without a hint of suspicion. He laughed. Marcus continued, Sir, he laughed like this was the funniest game in the world. Daniel closed his eyes, holding Sophie tighter. 20 years of friendship trust, shared joy and grief. David had been there when his wife died, cradled Sophie in the hospital, and was the first to help when she went missing. Now Daniel understood why David had insisted on delaying any police involvement. Wait a few more hours, David had said. Maybe the girl is just lost. The police could make things worse. A few hours for me to finish some financial sabotage. Marcus bent down beside them. Sir, I know this is hard to hear, but there's something you need to know about this man. He's not acting alone. Yesterday morning, when I brought food to Sophie, I saw him talking to 2 other men in suits nearby. I recognized one from TV, the politician who always talks about family and traditional values. Daniel's world spun. This wasn't just personal betrayal. This was a conspiracy involving powerful people, and he had become the perfect target. A man broken by loss, wholly focused on his work, blindly trusting those close to him. But as he held Sophie and looked at Marcus, a kid society had nearly rendered invisible, yet the only one who had truly helped his family, something inside Daniel shifted. That pain transformed into something far more dangerous: determination. Marcus, he said quietly, do you want to help take these people down? The boy nodded without hesitation. Then we're going to have to be smarter than they think. David and his partners have no idea that Daniel didn't reach the top of the business world by being naive. And now, with the truth revealed and an unexpected ally at his side, a plan for revenge began to form, one that would devastate more thoroughly than they could have imagined. Over the next 24 hours, while Sophie recovered at a private hospital under an assumed name, Daniel did something no millionaire had ever dared. He stopped searching for his daughter publicly. He canceled media alerts, dismissed private investigators, and told everyone he needed time to handle the situation privately. David called 3 times on the first day, his voice heavy with feigned concern. Daniel, you can't give up now. Sophie needs you strong. It was impressive, the sheer precision of his fake sincerity, knowing exactly where the girl had been all along. But Daniel didn't falter. He planned. And his first step was something no millionaire would dare. He temporarily moved into a modest apartment in the Bronx, just 3 blocks from where Marcus lived on the street. Because if a battle was about to erupt, he needed real intelligence, not the expensive detectives David could hire. Marcus proved to be a more valuable ally than Daniel had imagined. He knew every corner of the neighborhood, every homeless person, every broken camera, and every blind spot in the city's surveillance network. More importantly, he was completely invisible to people like David and his minions. One morning, Marcus returned from a reconnaissance mission. Mr. Daniel, the politician I saw talking to David, I found where he stays when he's in the Bronx. He smiled. And that's not somewhere he'd want his wife to know about. But true luck came when Daniel met Elena Rodriguez, a criminal finance attorney volunteering at a local legal aid office. 38, raised in the same neighborhood as Marcus, and with a deep hatred for the powerful who exploited the system. Let me get this straight, Elena said, reviewing the documents Daniel had brought. Your best friend kidnapped your daughter to buy time to rob your company, and now he's pretending to help you find her. She gave a bitter laugh. Classic. And I bet he even planned to end up looking like the hero. Elena was right. Through connections David didn't know about, Daniel discovered that his friend had orchestrated the search for Sophie in a 48-hour staged drama, making himself the hero who saved Daniel's daughter, receiving eternal gratitude, while no one suspected it was all part of his scheme. Meanwhile, Marcus became the perfect spy. David and his partners spoke freely around him, as if he were just furniture. He picked up names, meeting locations, even bank account passwords from their careless conversations. They meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. at an Italian restaurant on the east side. The politician will receive $50,000 to cooperate, and there's a third person, a cop, to make sure the kidnapping investigation doesn't get too close to the truth. Daniel felt a cold, calculating rage rise within him. David hadn't just betrayed 20 years of friendship. He had bribed the police and a politician, turning the kidnapping of an innocent child into an elaborate ruse to hide corporate corruption. But Elena brought the best news. Daniel. Do you know, David made a fatal mistake. She handed over the bank documents she'd obtained through her legal contacts. He's transferring money from your company through traceable accounts. More importantly, to speed things up, he used personal accounts as a bridge. What does that mean? It means we have indisputable evidence that he stole from you, not suspicion, not theory. Evidence that even the priciest lawyer couldn't deny. That night, while Sophie slept safely in her hospital room, Daniel looked out the window of his modest apartment. Marcus was teaching a few younger kids to play chess on a makeshift table. The scene reminded him of who truly mattered in life. Marcus, he said, as the boy climbed up onto a chair. Tomorrow we execute the plan, but first you need to know that after this you'll never have to return to the streets. Marcus looked at him with eyes that had already seen too much. Are you sure I'm not like you guys? I don't know how to get rich. You don't need wealth, Marcus. You need freedom. And after what we do tomorrow, David and all his powerful friends will learn that underestimating people like us is the biggest mistake of their lives. Because while David thinks he's orchestrated the perfect crime, he hasn't accounted for three variables: the desperation of a father, the intelligence of a boy who hears everything, and the fury of a community about to discover how the rich toy with human lives for greed. The meeting at the Italian restaurant was set for Tuesday, but David and his partners had no idea that every word they spoke would be recorded, every transaction documented, every lie exposed, turning their private betrayal into a public humiliation. What they didn't know was that Daniel had learned a fundamental lesson about revenge during his days in the Bronx. Sometimes the best strategy isn't to attack from above with power and money, but from below with truth and justice, especially when you have allies the enemy can't see. Tuesday arrived under a gray sky, a warning of the storm about to fall on David Mitchell. At exactly 2 p.m., he entered the East Side Italian restaurant in a $3,000 suit, flashing the confident smile of a man who thought he'd crafted the perfect scheme. Marcus was strategically positioned at a corner table disguised as a normal delivery boy. No one noticed him exactly as planned. A hidden microphone in his shirt captured every word, crystal clear, transmitting live to Elena, monitoring from a van 2 blocks away. Gentleman, David said, greeting Congressman Harrison and Detective Murphy. I hope you enjoy the fine champagne. Today we celebrate a complete victory. David had no idea that Daniel had spent the past 48 hours not only gathering evidence but building a network to expose them, turning this private meeting into a merciless public spectacle. 3 hidden cameras captured every angle of the table. 2 investigative journalists waited outside. Most importantly, a live stream had already been sent to over 200,000 followers. $50,000 for you. Harrison David slid an envelope across the table. And $30 for Murphy to keep the investigation away from us. He smirked arrogantly. Daniel still thinks we're searching for his daughter. Pathetic. Then Marcus calmly stood and walked toward their table. Excuse me, gentlemen, he said with politeness that contrasted sharply with his simple clothing. My name is Marcus, and I have something that belongs to you. David frowned, clearly annoyed. Kid, I don't know who you are, but I found Sophie. Marcus interrupted, his voice steady enough to freeze the 3 men in their seats. I've been listening to everything you've said for the past 4 days, and I'm the one streaming this conversation live to the entire world right now. David's face turned pale. What are you talking about? Marcus smiled, not the timid smile of a vulnerable boy, but the calculated smile of someone who had learned to play chess with masters. Look around, gentlemen. See the woman reading the newspaper. She's an investigative journalist. The man at the bar is a federal attorney. And the 3 who walked in 5 minutes ago, FBI agents. Harrison tried to stand, but his legs trembled so badly he nearly fell. That can't be. We were careful. You were arrogant, a familiar voice said from behind them. Daniel Anderson appeared, walking calmly toward the table, followed by Elena and 2 federal agents. You underestimated a desperate father, a brilliant lawyer, and especially a boy you didn't even see. David sprang to his feet, panic finally overtaking his composure. Daniel, you don't understand. I can explain everything. We've been friends for 20 years. Friends don't kidnap friends' daughters. Friends don't steal from friends' companies, and they certainly don't laugh while causing psychological trauma to a 9-year-old, Daniel replied coldly. Elena opened a thick file. David Mitchell, you are hereby charged with kidnapping extortion money, laundering public corruption, and conspiracy to commit a crime. She looked at Harrison and Murphy. And you gentlemen as well. But the real blow wasn't over. Marcus pulled out a tablet and held the screen up for the three men. Want to see something interesting? Our live stream has over 500,000 views. As for the comments, I'll let you imagine. The screen showed a flood of angry messages. Child justice for Sophie was trending. David Mitchell's name was linked to child abductor and psychopathic traitor in thousands of posts. His company lost 40% of its market value in just 2 hours. His wife publicly filed for divorce. Harrison gasped. My career, my family, I have children. Sophie has a family too, Daniel said coldly. Did you think about that when you decided to traumatize a little girl for $30,000? Murphy tried to negotiate. I can give information on other cases. I can cooperate with the legal system. It's too late to be a hero, Elena said. You had 20 years to do the right thing. You chose to do wrong because you thought no one was watching. As the three were handcuffed, David tried one last plea. Daniel, please. We grew up together. You were my best man at my wedding. It can't end like this. Daniel stared at him for a long moment. Yes, David, it can't end like this. It has to end with complete justice. Then came the final strike. Elena handed him another document. David remembered transferring company money through personal accounts as a bridge. Turns out it's not just evidence of theft, it's evidence of tax evasion. She smiled. The IRS wants to talk to you about the last 10 years of filings. Looks like you owe the government about $2 million in unpaid taxes. Only then did David Mitchell realize the full extent of his destruction, not just prison, but complete financial ruin, public divorced children changing their names, irreparable reputation, and decades of incarceration. As he was led away, David glanced back one last time. Daniel held Marcus in his arms, both of them watching through the restaurant window where a small crowd had gathered outside, applauding as the arrest played live. How, David muttered, how could a street kid and a desperate man completely destroy me? The answer was simple. They underestimated no one. He underestimated everyone. In the game of power, the one who underestimates always loses everything. In the heart of the restaurant, where moments before corruption and cruelty had been celebrated, a new reality was taking shape like a symphony finally finding harmony after dissonant notes, proving that true justice does not discriminate by class color or the limits imposed by those who confuse power with impunity. 6 months later, Daniel Anderson sat in the office of Anderson and Associates, the consulting firm he had founded, after selling his shares in his former company. Through the panoramic windows, he saw Manhattan from a completely different perspective. It was no longer just about profit, it was about purpose. Marcus knocked and entered holding a thick folder. 13, now dressed in the prestigious St. Andrew's preparatory uniform, but his eyes still held determination. Mr. Daniel, the fund report is ready. We've rescued another 250 children from the streets this quarter. The Marcus and Sophie Fund, created from part of the recovered money from David's scheme, had become a national model for child protection programs. Sophie, now 10 and in ongoing therapy, insisted on taking Marcus's surname. You saved me first, she said simply. Elena appeared right after, now a company partner and the fund's legal director. I have news about our old friends. She smiled, though her eyes were not happy. David had been sentenced to 25 years without parole. Harrison lost re-election with 82% of the vote, the largest political defeat in state history. Murphy, she gave a bitter laugh. He's serving drinks at a roadside bar in Nevada. But the consequences didn't stop at prison. The live stream of the arrest spread to over 50 million views. That Never Underestimate became a social movement. 3 documentaries were made about the case. More importantly, dozens of other corrupt schemes were uncovered as ordinary citizens realized they had the power to confront injustice. Daniel looked at the framed photo on his desk himself, Sophie and Marcus on the day of the official adoption. Marcus kept his original surname but was now Sophie's legal older brother. I wanted to honor where I was born, he explained, but also have a place to call my own. That afternoon, as the three drove home from Sophie's school, she asked a question no one expected Dad. Did you forgive David? Daniel paused at the wheel. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting Sophie. It means not letting someone else's anger control your life. David chose cruelty, but we chose better. Marcus nodded thoughtfully. On the streets, I learned that revenge is different from justice. Revenge is hurting the one who hurt you. Justice is stopping them from hurting others. Sophie smiled. And also building something better, right? Exactly. Daniel's company now exclusively hires people. The system once undervalued former homeless individuals, rehabilitated ex-prisoners, skilled immigrants, people with disabilities. Productivity exceeds industry averages by 28%, and turnover is almost zero. Marcus became a speaker at schools, sharing his story with thousands of teens. You are not invisible. You are underestimated, and that's your greatest advantage. When no one expects anything from you, everything you do will surprise them. That evening, as Daniel sat down for dinner, he received a call from the governor wanting to discuss a state partnership for the social reintegration program Marcus had helped develop. After hanging up, he looked at his two children, pride shining in their eyes. What impressed you the most? Sophie asked, playing with the butterfly necklace she always wore. Uncle David thought he knew me, Daniel said, but he only knew the version of me I let him see. By the time he realized who I really am, it was too late. Marcus laughed. Like chess. You let your opponent think they're winning while you're setting your pieces. By the time they realize, the game is over. Meanwhile, just 400 meters away in a federal prison, David Mitchell sat in a small cell, rereading thousands of news articles about the family he once tried to destroy. His wife had remarried, his children had changed their names, and his assets were auctioned off to pay restitution. What hurt him the most wasn't losing everything. It was realizing that Daniel and Marcus had built something far greater than anything he could have ever had. While he destroyed out of envy, they created out of love. That night, Daniel closed his laptop, feeling content. The desk beside him was covered with Sophie's drawings. The whole family was together, including Elena now, much more than just a partner. They were living proof that family isn't just about blood, it's about choice. Marcus entered to say goodnight as he had done every evening for the past 6 months. Mr. Daniel, can I ask you something, he said. Always. Go ahead. Do you think any of this would have happened if Uncle David hadn't been so greedy? Daniel paused to think. Maybe not Marcus. Sometimes the worst people give us the greatest gifts in life by showing us who we really are when we're tested. And indeed, it was true. David tried to destroy a family, but in the end he forged one even stronger. He tried to steal a child's future, but ultimately gave him a home. He tried to destroy a man, but revealed a hero instead. True victory wasn't seeing David in prison. It was seeing Sophie smile again, Marcus graduate with honors, and hundreds of other families reunited, thanks to the charitable fund born from suffering and transformed into hope. Because in the end, the best revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something so meaningful that their cruelty becomes irrelevant. Proving that love and justice always prevail when courageous people refuse to accept injustice as an unchangeable fate. If this story of courage, family, and justice touched your heart, subscribe to the channel to see more stories showing that true heroes are those who turn their greatest pain into purpose, and sometimes you must lose everything to realize what really matters.